Hi, how are you? My name is Lois Gidiga and I am coming to you from Calgary, Alberta, Canada. I'm excited today. I'm making the last video of this year, the last video of the decade. And today's video is about language testing for Canadian immigration. And the reason I'm doing this video is I just want to make some clarification. I've been seeing a lot of questions and some mistakes here and there, so I'm just here to clarify what language testing is, the language eligibility, and what test you should be taking. Again, this is not legal advice. This is for your information, and please welcome to my channel. Okay? Yes, so you're going to realize that when you're preparing to immigrate to Canada, most of the economic classes require you to do some language testing. And as you all know, Canada has two formal languages. We have French and English. I think English is the most spoken language here in Canada, simply because we have less French-speaking provinces. But nonetheless, those are the two official languages here in Canada. And you're going to realize that in whatever class you want to immigrate through, there's going to be a language requirement and basic requirements. And some of those basic requirements also depend on the job you are applying for, like the skill set. I know you've heard me talk about no codes. So every job is classified under a certain class called the NOC. That is the skill classification. So mostly these requirements, some of these are the language requirements, also depend on the kind of a job you're applying for. So always be sure to check the NOC requirements and the class that you're applying for, because whether you're applying for federal skilled class or federal skilled trades or the Canadian experience class, those classes have different language requirements. One big mistake that people make is they look at the basic requirements. There are people who tell me, what is the basic requirement for this class? And it's okay to make sure that you're targeting the basic requirement, but always know that the basic requirement is the minimum requirement per class. So if they say that for this class, you need a CLB 5, that is the basic, that is the minimum requirement you need for that class. What that tells you, if you get a 5, fine, you will qualify for this class. But what are your chances? What they do not necessarily explain there is that for you to increase your chances, you need to have a higher band of that language classification. So it doesn't mean that if they said you need a band 5, a CLB 5, you should only work hard for a CLB 5. Other people are going to be scoring a CLB 10, and that means that they're going, because most of these classes are point-based. So that means that those people who got a CLB 10, they're gonna have more points than you. So always, something I tell my clients all the time, it's good that you meet the minimum requirements. It's better if you have the highest possible. Try and get the highest possible. And sincerely speaking, just as age is important in Canadian immigration, especially for these economic classes, language is also very, 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 very important. And the good thing with language is something that you can change. You know, when they say that you're 30 and you've reached that's maybe the age that you have the most points, there's nothing you can do about your age, because you cannot bring your age down. But for your language, you can always take your language skills up. So if, say, you did a testing and you realize that you didn't get enough points under the language class, maybe in the express entry, you can always retake that class and aim for better points, and that now gives you more points. So language is a very good part of the whole eligibility class that I find that you can always improve on your language, you can always retake. Practice, practice, practice. I tell people, practice, stand in front of a mirror, stand in front of somebody, try speaking, writing, reading, listening, all those, because those are the things you're tested when you go for language testing. Okay, so enough about that and the eligibility. The thing is, it's always good to know if you speak French, then I think you should do French testing. If you're good in English, you do the English testing. Capitalize on the language that you speak best. It's always good if you speak two languages, because then you can earn points on those two languages. So for English, we have two major testing types. So we have the IELTS and we have CELPIP. And mostly for people abroad out there, IELTS is the most common English language test that you can do out there. And IELTS, what I mean with IELTS is International English Testing System. Yes, and mostly in places like Nairobi, you can find it at the British Council, right? Yeah, you can find it at the British Council, and I think the British Council is somewhere near Upper Hill in Nairobi. I'm sure this is in all other cities. I've been speaking to people from Ghana, from Nigeria, from Cameroon, and yes, you're going to find the British Council, and that is a place whereby you can always go to do your IELTS English testing. If you're in Canada, you can do CELPIP. Yes, you have a choice. If you're in Canada, you can do IELTS or CELPIP. And CELPIP is the Canadian English Language Proficiency Index program. Okay? Yes, so mostly CELPIP is computer-based. I find that these days IELTS, I think they have a computer-based. I'm not really sure about that, but I know IELTS, you speak... when you're doing like the speaking, you speak to a human being. So I think I like IELTS. I could be biased. I like IELTS. I've done both. Yes, but CELPIP is in front of a computer and can be quite unnerving. Yes, because you're very timed. If you panic, you lose your time. Okay? Yes, so when you're doing IELTS, I'm going mostly to talk about IELTS. Please know which type of testing you're doing. Yes, because if you're coming as a student, if you're applying for a higher education, you may want to do the academic testing of IELTS. If you're doing immigration for general immigration purposes, please do the general testing. I know there are people who've done the academic testing and they want to use it for immigration, and so it's not going to be acceptable. Okay? Yes, so always for immigration purposes, know that you're doing the general testing. Okay, for English, you do TEF. And I don't speak French, so I'm not going to attempt the French pronunciation of TEF. But that is the testing that is available for French testing, and you can do this. So if you speak both languages, please go and do testing for both languages, because then you are going to be earning more points simply because you speak both languages. That's a plus. IRCC really doesn't care which testing you take, whether you take CELPIP or you take IELTS. They really don't care. So it's up to you to choose which one you prefer, which one you're more comfortable with, and which one is available in your local city. Okay? So what they do, the results, they are equalized by a system called the CLB. And the CLB is the Canadian Language Benchmark. So you're going to hear CLB 5, CLB 6, CLB 7. So if your skill requires a CLB 7, IELTS does not give results in CLB 7 or even CELPIP. They do not give results in CLB 7. So CELPIP will be like this. So you get a band 7 or a band 8, assuming you get that in IELTS, right? Or in CELPIP. You need to translate that into a CLB. So there's a chart. Actually, the IRCC has a chart that can help you translate what you got. So it's very easy for CELPIP, because if you get a CELPIP 7, it means 777. So you're being tested in 4 categories: reading, writing, speaking, and listening. So if you get a 7 across the board in CELPIP, that means then you get a CLB 7. It's that easy. It's easily translating. So it's CELPIP 8 is a CLB 8. CELPIP 9 is a CLB 9. Okay? However, it's a little different for IELTS, and I think that is also advantageous. For IELTS ranks higher, just a little higher than CLB. So you're going to find that if you have a CLB 6, an IELTS 6, a band 6 in IELTS, if you get 6, 6, 6, 6 in all 4 categories, then you get a CLB 7. So you should not feel discouraged if you go to do your exam and maybe they had said that you need a band 7, a CLB 7, but then you get an IELTS 6. If you get 6, 6, 6, 6, then you have hit the minimum mark of a CLB 7, because a 6, 6, 6, 6 translates into a band 7. For IELTS again, so if assuming you get a 7, an 8, 8, 8, 8, you are getting more than a band 9. Okay? Yes. It's the same thing, and this is, you can always look at the chart. So if you get 7.5 in all 4 classes under IELTS, assuming you get 7.5, 7.5, 7.5, 7.5, your CLB is CLB 9. Okay? Yes, so it doesn't directly translate, so it's always good that you know what you are getting, and please don't get discouraged if maybe you're aiming at a CLB 8 and you find that you got a 777 in IELTS. That means that you got the CLB 8. Yeah, so IELTS ranks a little higher when you're trying to translate that into the Canadian language benchmark. Okay, now that we have covered that, I just want to let you know that every class, so under all those classes, your results are only valid for 2 years. So you always, before you make your application, make sure that your results are valid. If they are not going to be valid by the end of your application, so assuming you're doing the express entry and you know that you're going to be in the pool, so your profile is only valid for a year, you know that, right? So if you're going to be in the pool for 1 year, then make sure that your language test is valid for the entire time that you are in that pool. If it's not going to be valid by the end of the year and you have not been picked out of that pool, please make arrangements to retake that exam, just so that, and then you update your profile, then that way you have a valid English, valid language testing. Okay? Yeah, so yeah, check when they're expiring and do a retake. Okay, so yeah, that is all about Canadian language testing. I just wanted to make that clarification. I know there are people who don't know which language they are taking, what is the benchmark that is required, and always check whatever program, whether it's a provincial nomination, whether you're doing the Rural Northern Immigration, whether you're doing the express entry classes, all of those, they have their own individual requirements. I cannot emphasize this enough. Please do not always go for the basic. Go for the highest. Aim for the highest. Retake. You can always retake your exams. For CELPIP, I know you can even ask for a remarking. If you feel like you did so well, like you know, like you passed, like you should have gotten better, you can always do an appeal and ask for a remarking. And I know people who've done that. It's done here in Canada a lot of times, and who knows, you may get a better point after your test is remarked. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you for keeping it here this year. Thank you for your support. Please subscribe to my channel and see you next year. Thank you so much. Bye now.